Today I've got an MTD snowblower with a 9 horsepower Briggs Stratton motor. The reason why I'm showing you this motor is because a lot of people have asked me how to remove the recoil when you have a problem with it. A lot of people are wondering why there's rivets here. Someone's already taken off the recoil here on this blower and then put back some rivets, but this is not the way you should do it. There's also a problem with the recoil that when you pull on it, it doesn't grab. So what I'll do is I'm going to show you how to remove that recoil and if necessary how to replace the rope in there. So first of all, make sure you don't have much fuel in the fuel tank because we're going to be working on this with the blower propped up on its front end. Then you don't need to be bent in half trying to remove the nuts and bolts. So first I'm going to start by removing these two knobs here. Basically just unscrew them until they come right off. The next thing we need to remove is the choke knob right here. So what I'm going to do for this is grab a screwdriver, gently go underneath. Don't pry on an angle because you can break the choke knob shaft. Sometimes it'll come off slowly, sometimes quick like that. And that's what's going to be left there is the choke shaft, and it's made of plastic as well. Next you want to grab this whole cover and pull it out like that. Now with the cover off like that, bring it up and remove the key wires down here. Just hold the cover when you do this. Now if there was a bit of gas left in your carb, what's going to happen is it's going to drip from the primer bulb over here. So you can have a rag ready to catch the gas or a container or run your snowblower dry before you do this if you're able to. Now you can leave the cover hang there with the wire and the primer line. It's not going to hurt it. Then you don't need to reconnect that after that. Next thing we're going to do now is remove the two 10mm nuts from here. I'm going to remove the cover. It's going to come right off. What I'm going to remove at this point are the two Torx screws right here and a third one down here, and they're all numbered T25. Now this small plate's going to come off from the top part. Now this whole cover is going to come off, and there's going to be two wires on the shut-off switch here. So you can just leave this hanging over here. The reason we've removed all these covers is to be able to access the bolts that are holding the cowling down there, as you can see. The next step is going to be to loosen up the two carburetor bolts here, and you're going to need an E-Torx number 5 for that, for both of them here. First I'm going to take the little collars off and the screen. If you're afraid of dropping something into the carburetor hole, just close the choke. Now what I mean by an E-Torx, or external Torx, is that it's like a socket. Instead of being like your average Torx screwdriver like this is the total opposite. And as you can see here at the end of the bolts, it's a Torx. So I'm going to insert the little Torx socket in there, and the whole stud's going to come off. Now the reason why I'm loosening up the carburetor is so that I'm able to remove the cowling from underneath the carb here. So you don't need to take the bolts right out, just enough to loosen the carb like this to lift it up. Then when you've got all the bolts off the recoil, you're going to be able to slide the cowling out from underneath the carb. Now the next thing I'm going to remove is the small plastic cover that covers the starter gear, and what you're going to need for that is a 7mm socket. They're just two little self-tapping bolts like that. Then the cover is going to come right off. So at this point I've got all the obstructions out of the way. What you need to do now is to remove the 10mm bolt down here. There's also one down here and one on top over here. Now we'll remove the second one right here. And the next bolt is right over here. Sometimes they're on there pretty tight. So now that you've removed the 3 10mm bolts that hold the cowling, the whole thing should come right off. You're going to have to move the cables over here so you can get the cowling through. So here's the part that's come off. That's why the motor wouldn't turn over when you pulled the cord. Everything else looks good. There was a bit of old rope stuck inside here. I took that off. So this pawl here goes under here somewhere. The plastic looks a bit damaged, so I'm not sure if that's going to have to be replaced. I'm going to start by removing this screw here. So that's what it looks like under there. One of the paws is still there. So this one here went like this. But now if I compared the old paw here, you can see the notch on top is flat. Should be a little point there. Here's the other one that's in better shape. You can see it's not all shaved down. There's a side-by-side view. So what's going to happen with the top of this shaved down is it's not going to come out as easily as it should, or when it should, when you go to start it. Because when you pull on the cord there, the paws come out of here to grab the cup on the flywheel. This part here looks like it's been under a bit of pressure as well. It's kind of scraped up here. So at this point here, I'm going to order these 2 parts. It might work the way it is, but probably not for long. So I want to make sure that it's trouble-free. So I'm just going to replace them.